What is up, everyone? How was your May? Was it good? Great. Well, I read books in May, and that's the only thing that I did, and I'd love to talk about it right now. And you may ask yourself, how many books did Brandon read in May? Well, look, folks, I read 4 books this month, and the only excuse that I have for myself this time is the fact that this month was incredibly busy. Let's start. If you watched the last video, then you know that I was reading Liu Xun's Complete Stories, translated by Yang Xianyi and Gladys Yang. I had a whole big reason for why I was reading this specific translation and not the Penguin Classics translation. Now I finally have all the translations together, and I'm going to give you a real taste of just how varied these different translations are. We're going to start with Penguin Classics because I believe this is the worst translation. At school, I had been close friends with 2 brothers whose names I will omit to mention here. As the years went by after we graduated, however, we gradually lost touch. Not long ago, I happened to hear that one of them had been seriously ill and, while on a visit home, I broke my journey to call on them. Let's jump over to the translation by William A. Lyle, whoever that is. There was once a pair of male siblings whose actual names I beg your indulgence to withhold. Suffice it to say that we 3 were boon companions during our school years. Subsequently, circumstances contrived to rend us asunder so that we were gradually bereft of knowledge regarding each other's activities. Not too long ago, however, I chanced to hear that one of them had been hard afflicted with a dread disease. I obtained this intelligence at a time when I happened to be returning to my native haunts, and hence made so bold as to detour somewhat from my normal course in order to visit them. Now we're jumping into My Goats, the translation I chose to read. Ready? Good. 2 brothers, whose names I need not mention here, were both good friends of mine in high school, but after a separation of many years, we gradually lost touch. Some time ago, I happened to hear that one of them was seriously ill, and since I was going back to my old home, I broke my journey to call on them. Do we see and hear a difference? That was so easy. They said everything these 2 translations said, but so clearly, so delightfully clearly. This is the translation to get. But good luck trying to get this translation, because the translation by Yang Xianyi and Gladys Yang is tough to get. This is the copy that I got from Thrift Books. It's very old. There are cracks in the spine that are so severe that I felt like this book was going to split in half a couple times, and I was really worried about it. So I tried to buy what I thought was going to be a better copy in this hardcover edition, also from Thrift Books. And what I found when I opened this up is that this book belonged to one of those people who likes to underline stuff and write stuff in margins, and that just drives me crazy. Every single one of these passages that is underlined and every single note in the margins in this book is like they're underlining a line that says, so-and-so was very sad. And then they write in the margins, he's feeling sadness. And it's just like, yeah. Craning their necks as far as they would go, they looked like so many ducks, and then they've underlined they looked like so many ducks, and they've written animal imagery of crowd. Yeah. As for the title, it was chosen by the diarist himself after his recovery, and I did not change it. And then they've underlined that and wrote, pessimistic, can't defy convention. No. What do you mean, can't change convention? What are you talking about? I don't want to come across as a total hater here, because I do think that there would be a way to justify underlining things in books and writing things in the margins. But what I would like to see written in the margins from previous owners is things like an underlining of a portion and then writing in the margins. This makes me think that a story about a duck and a sandpaper would be cool. Something like that. Don't just write, this character is pessimistic after the book says, this character is pessimistic. Anyways, what else did I read this month? I tried to read The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kinslover, and I read about 100 pages of it, and then I stopped reading it. Because frankly, I'm not that interested in reading a book about Africa from the perspective of racist Southern Baptists. I get that the racist Southern Baptists are supposed to be like the villains of the story. I just don't care about their POV. I did read an excellent book this month, and it was called Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, Volume 1 by Mo Xiang Tong Xue. This book is incredible. It's delightful. It's originally like a web series or something that has just blown up in China, is my understanding, and now over here, across the pond. It was viciously recommended to me by my sisters, and so I thought to myself, dang it, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to jump into this random thing, and I'm so glad that I did. It reminded me a lot of Journey to the West. It has this sort of classic, timeless feel to it in the way that it's written, but it also is setting up what I believe will probably be the greatest gay love story of all time, and I'm here for it. Seriously, if you doubt me, get on your bicycle, ride to the local library, pick up Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. Do it, coward. Up next, I read Singing and Swinging and Getting Married Like Christmas by Maya Angelou. The book picks up very quickly where the last one left off, and I was enjoying it and having a great time. Maya Angelou is basically set by the end of this book. She has gotten into showbiz. She traveled all across Europe. It was wonderful. She's come a long way, to the point that I almost feel like she's gonna be okay from now on. And do I even need to keep reading? There was one cringe bit near the end where she was missing her son while she was in Europe, but she didn't want her son to travel with her and the big theater troupe because there were some gay men in the troupe, and she didn't want them to turn her son gay. And I was just like, ma'am, you don't know what you're talking about, respectfully. I will give a shout out to her son because he definitely had a really strong grasp of class consciousness. And at one point he got in trouble at school for kind of sounding a little bit too communist for the teachers. So that was a fun bit. A final book that I read this month, and I read it so fast. I had 2 days left in May, and I was like, I need to read one more book. And I read Call Me By Your Name by Andre Ackerman. That book is just kind of perfect. There's not like a wasted sentence for the majority of it. There's one little portion where they go to Rome and they are hanging out at this party where there's this author guy, and the author guy talked too much and I didn't care for him. I just wanted to get back to the insanely lustfulness of it. In some ways, the book is better than the movie because the book gives you more context after that summer fling. If I'm remembering the movie right, because maybe the movie did go into some of that, but like the book, it's like the first 3/4 are that summer fling, and then the last kind of one little bit of a fourth is time passing very quickly. So you get scenes of them as they grow older, which I kind of appreciated, I think. That was a great book. My lifestyle changed as I read that book, if that makes sense. I was going down to the pool and lounging in the sun and reading it, and I was like, this is the life now. And I just realized I'm not wearing my book hat. 'Tis not a video about books unless the book hat is on, and don't let it be forgotten. Surprisingly, considering all the effort that I've put into reading Lu Xun, the books that I was most excited about this month were Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation and Call Me By Your Name.
Editing while sick with a cold, Brandon here to report that I also did read 5 volumes of One Piece this past month, and they were all excellent. I read volumes 91 through 95. I've got 4 more at home from the library. I'm ready to just keep on cooking.
As we come into June, I'm reading The Sympathizer. I watched one episode of the show that they made out of this on Max, and I was like, wait, this is based on a book? Okay, I gotta read the book now. This is so cool. It's about the Vietnam War from the perspective of a communist spy who's forced to go to the United States after the fall of Saigon to the communists. And I just love that. I love the perspective on the Vietnam War from the communist side, from the winning side, really. You know, it's crazy when you look up why did the US even go to Vietnam, and it's literally just because the US hated communists and they just were like scared it was gonna spread.
Editing Brandon here to say, just one problem, US. If communism doesn't work, then why would it spread?
And so they went to Vietnam and killed like, what, 2 million civilians? I will say this as well, June is going to be another insane month. The biggest plan that I have is to take a massive bicycle ride. I'm talking about riding my bike through multiple states across a multiple day period. I don't know where I'm gonna sleep, how I'm gonna eat, how I'm gonna live, but it's in here. It's cooking up. It's going to happen, I think, whether I like it or not. And I'm going to vlog that whole thing. But that's probably going to be at the very end of June, going into July. As always, we say, Free Palestine from the river to the sea. The United States and Israel are committing and funding genocide. Thank you for watching. Please recommend me more books. I'm realizing that my list of books to read is actually getting small.